The rain fell in sheets, blurring the world outside the cafe window where Lily sat, her hands trembling around a half-empty coffee cup. She was 22 and tonight she'd tell her mother the truth. She loved a woman. The weight of that secret, carried for years, felt like it might crush her before she could speak it. Lily glanced at Emma, who sat across from her, her green eyes steady, a silent anchor in the storm of Lily's nerves. Emma, 23, reached out, her fingers brushing Lily's, a touch that felt like courage itself. "You don't have to do this alone," Emma whispered, her voice soft but fierce. "I'm here. Always." The cafe was a small haven in their quiet Ohio town, its walls lined with mismatched art, and the air thick with the scent of roasted beans. Lily had chosen this place for its neutrality, a space where her mother, Margaret, might listen without the weight of their home's expectations pressing in. Margaret was a pillar of their community church deacon, PTA president, the kind of woman who ironed her blouses to perfection and never missed a Sunday sermon. Lily had spent years crafting herself into the daughter Margaret wanted. Studious, polite, the girl who'd go to college, marry a nice man and carry on the family's legacy. But that wasn't her. It never had been. Lily met Emma at a college poetry reading a year ago, a chance encounter that changed everything. Emma was all fire and wit, her short blonde hair catching the stage lights as she read a poem about rebellion and love. Lily, shy and reserved, had been captivated, her heart waking up in ways she'd never known. They'd spent months stealing moments, late-night drives, whispered confessions in dorm rooms, kisses under starlit skies. Emma was the first person who saw Lily for who she truly was, not the version her mother had sculpted. Now as the cafe door chimed, Lily's breath caught. Margaret walked in, her navy coat pristine despite the rain, her expression a mix of curiosity and faint disapproval at the late hour. Lily stood, her legs unsteady, and forced a smile. "Mom, thanks for coming." Margaret hugged her tightly, her perfume sharp and familiar, a scent that had once meant safety. "Of course, sweetheart. You sounded so serious on the phone." Her eyes flicked to Emma, lingering a moment too long, assessing. Lily's stomach twisted. They sat, and Lily's rehearsed words tangled in her throat. She glanced at Emma, who nodded subtly, her presence a lifeline. "Mom," Lily began, her voice barely above a whisper, "I need to tell you something important. About me. About who I am." Margaret's brow furrowed, but she nodded, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Lily took a breath, the air heavy with the weight of what she was about to unleash. "I'm in love. With Emma. I'm gay." The silence that followed was deafening. Margaret's face froze, her eyes wide, unblinking. Then, to Lily's shock, she stood, stepped around the table, and pulled Lily into another hug. "Oh, honey," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "I love you. I'll always love you." Lily's heart soared, tears pricking her eyes. She braced for anger, rejection, anything but this. She clung to her mother, hope blooming like a fragile flower. Maybe this could be okay. Maybe her mother could accept her. But as Margaret pulled back, her smile was tight, her eyes distant. "We'll talk more at home," she said, her tone clipped. "This is a lot. Let's go." Emma squeezed Lily's hand under the table, a silent question. "Are you okay?" Lily nodded, but unease settled in her chest. As they left the cafe, the rain had stopped, but the air felt colder, heavier. Lily couldn't shake the feeling that her mother's hug wasn't the end of something, it was the beginning. At home, the house was suffocatingly familiar. The floral curtains, the cross above the fireplace, the ticking clock that marked every second of Lily's growing dread. Margaret poured tea, her movements precise, her silence louder than any words. Emma had wanted to come, but Lily insisted on facing this alone, not wanting to overwhelm her mother further. "Mom," Lily ventured, sitting at the kitchen table, "I know this is unexpected, but Emma, she makes me happy. I've never felt this way before." Margaret sipped her tea, her eyes fixed on the cup. "Happiness," she said slowly, as if tasting the word. "You think this is happiness? Sneaking around, living a life that goes against everything we've taught you?" Lily's heart sank. "It's not sneaking. It's who I am. I love her, Mom. I thought you understood when you hugged me." "I hugged you because you're my daughter," Margaret snapped, her voice sharp now. "But this? This is a choice, Lily. A sin. And I won't let you throw your life away. The words hit like a slap. Lily had prepared for this, had rehearsed arguments in her head, but hearing it from her mother, the woman who'd bandaged her scraped knees, who'd cheered at her graduations, felt like betrayal. It's not a choice, Lily said, her voice trembling. It's me. I've always been this way. Margaret stood, pacing the kitchen. You're confused. You're young. Emma. She's influencing you. I've seen girls like her. They pull you into their world, and you lose yourself. Lily's hands clenched. Emma's not pulling me anywhere. I love her. Why can't you see that? Margaret's eyes flashed with something dark, anger, fear, or both. Because it's wrong, Lily. And I won't stand by and watch you destroy yourself. We'll fix this. Therapy, church, whatever it takes. Lily stood, her chair scraping against the floor. I'm not broken. I don't need fixing. Margaret's face softened, but only slightly. You'll see, sweetheart. I'm doing this because I love you. You'll thank me one day. That night, Lily lay in her childhood bed, staring at the ceiling, her mother's words echoing like a curse. She texted Emma. She hugged me. Then she called it a sin. Emma's reply came instantly. I'm here. We'll figure this out together. But as Lily drifted into uneasy sleep, she couldn't shake the feeling that her mother's love was a double-edged sword, one that would cut deeper than she could imagine. The next morning, Lily woke to find her phone buzzing with notifications. Friends, classmates, even distant cousins had texted her, their messages a mix of shock, support, and thinly veiled judgment. Is it true? You're with a girl. I'm here for you, but are you sure? What's your mom saying about this? Lily's blood ran cold. She hadn't told anyone but her mother. She opened her email and found a message from her church's youth group leader. We're praying for you, Lily. Your mother told us you're struggling. Let us help you find your way back. Her mother had told the church. The realization hit like a punch to the gut. She stormed downstairs where Margaret was calmly reading the paper. You told everyone? Lily's voice shook with rage. You told the church without my permission? Margaret didn't look up. I told people who care about you. People who can help. You're not thinking clearly, Lily. You need guidance. Guidance. Lily's voice rose. You outed me to the entire town. Do you know what you've done? Margaret finally met her eyes, her expression steely. I've done what's necessary. You'll see this is for your own good. By noon, the whispers had spread. At the grocery store, Lily felt eyes on her, heard murmurs behind her back. Her boss at the library where she worked part-time called to say her shifts were under review due to community concerns. When she met Emma for lunch, Emma's face was pale, her usual fire dimmed. My landlord called, Emma said quietly. Someone told him about us. He's reconsidering my lease. Lily's world was unraveling, and her mother was the one pulling the threads. She wanted to scream, to fight, but the weight of betrayal was crushing. As she looked at Emma, her heart ached with love and guilt. This wasn't just her fight, Anna Marie, it was theirs. And she wasn't sure how much they could endure. Emma's apartment was a sanctuary, a cluttered space filled with books, vinyl records, and the faint scent of lavender candles. Lily sank into the couch, her head in her hands as Emma paced, her leather jacket slung over a chair. She didn't just tell the church, Lily said, her voice raw. She's trying to ruin us, Emma. My job, your lease, turning everyone against us. Emma stopped pacing, her green eyes blazing. She's your mom, Lily. She's scared. Maybe she thinks she's saving you. Saving me. Lily's laugh was bitter. She's destroying me. And you're getting caught in the crossfire. Emma knelt in front of her, taking her hands. We're in this together, okay? She can't break us. Not if we don't let her. But the cracks were already forming. Over the next week, the town's judgment tightened like a noose. Lily's childhood friends stopped texting. Her professor, who'd once praised her essays, gave her a pitying look when she turned in her latest assignment. At the library, her co-workers whispered when she walked by, and her hours were cut to nothing. Budget issues, her boss said, but his eyes wouldn't meet hers. Emma faced her own battles. Her band, which played gigs at local bars, was dropped from their regular venue after a concerned parent complained. It's your mom, Emma said one night, her voice tight as they lay in bed. She's not just talking to the church. She's talking to everyone. Lily felt sick. She'd known her mother was influential, but this was calculated, a campaign to isolate them. She confronted Margaret again, this time at the church where Margaret was organizing a bake sale. The sanctuary smelled of polished wood and incense, a stark contrast to the storm in Lily's heart. "Why are you doing this?" Lily demanded, her voice echoing in the empty pews. "You're not just hurting me, you're hurting Emma. She's done nothing to you." Margaret's face was a mask of calm. "I'm protecting you, Lily. This lifestyle, it's not what God wants for you. It's not what I want for you. It's not a lifestyle," Lily snapped. "It's my life. And you're tearing it apart." Margaret's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. "You'll thank me when you're older. When you have a family, a husband, a life that's right." Lily walked away, her heart pounding. She couldn't stay in that house anymore. That night, she packed a bag and moved into Emma's apartment, her mother's words ringing in her ears. But even Emma's warmth couldn't erase the fear that Margaret wasn't done. The next blow came swiftly. Lily's scholarship, the one that paid for her English degree, was suddenly under review. A letter from the university cited concerns about conduct, with no further explanation. When Lily called the financial aid office, the clerk was evasive, mentioning anonymous complaints. Lily knew who was behind it. Emma, meanwhile, was fighting to keep her apartment. Her landlord, a friend of Margaret's from church, claimed lease violations that didn't exist. Emma spent hours on the phone with legal aid, her voice growing hoarse with frustration. "We can't afford a lawyer," she told Lily, rubbing her temples. "And I'm not sure we'd win." Lily felt like she was drowning. Every door was closing, every connection severed. She and Emma clung to each other, their love a lifeline, but even that was tested. One night, as they cooked dinner in Emma's tiny kitchen, Lily broke down. "Maybe she's right," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Maybe I'm ruining your life by staying." Emma dropped the spatula, her eyes fierce. "Don't you dare say that. You're not ruining anything. She's the one doing this, not you." "But it's my fault," Lily sobbed. "If I hadn't told her," Emma pulled her close, her arms strong and steady. "You told the truth. That's not weakness. It's courage. And I love you for it." Their kiss was desperate, a promise to hold on, but the world outside was relentless. The next day, a flyer appeared on campus, announcing a prayer vigil for those struggling with sin. Lily's name wasn't on it, but the implication was clear. Students stared as she walked to class, some with sympathy, others with disdain. She stopped going to lectures, unable to face the scrutiny. Emma suggested they leave town, start fresh somewhere new. "We could go to Chicago," she said, her voice bright with hope. "Big city, new people. We could be ourselves." Lily wanted to believe it was possible, but the idea of leaving everything, her home, her dreams, her mother, felt like surrender. "I can't just run," she said. "This is my life. I have to fight for it." Emma nodded, but her eyes were shadowed with worry. "Then we fight. But we do it together." The fight took a toll. Lily's savings dwindled as she struggled to pay for classes without her scholarship. Emma picked up extra shifts at a coffee shop, but the hours were grueling, and the pay barely covered rent. They spent their nights planning, dreaming of a future where they could live without fear, but the present was a battlefield. One evening, as they walked through the park, the same park where they first kissed, a group of teenagers shouted slurs from across the street. Emma tensed, ready to confront them, but Lily pulled her back. "It's not worth it," she said, her voice hollow. "They're just kids." "They're kids repeating what they've heard," Emma said, her jaw tight. "From people like your mom." Lily didn't argue. She knew it was true. Margaret's influence was a poison, seeping into every corner of their lives. But beneath the anger, Lily still loved her mother, still hoped for a day when she'd understand. That hope was fading, but it wasn't gone. Winter settled over Ohio, blanketing the town in snow and silence, but for Lily and Emma, the cold was more than physical. The pressure was relentless. Lily's scholarship was officially revoked, the university citing community standards, in a vague, infuriating letter. Emma's landlord served an eviction notice, claiming unpaid utilities that they'd already settled. The truth was clear. Margaret's influence was everywhere, a shadow they couldn't escape. Lily sat at Emma's kitchen table, staring at a stack of bills. I can't keep doing this, she admitted, her voice barely audible. I'm losing everything. Emma, chopping vegetables for soup, set down her knife. You haven't lost me, she said firmly. And you won't. Lily wanted to believe her, but doubt gnawed at her. Every loss felt like her fault, a consequence of her truth. She'd come out to her mother hoping for acceptance, but instead she'd unleashed a war. She looked at Emma, her heart aching with love and guilt. You deserve better than this, she whispered. Emma crossed the room, her hands cupping Lily's face. I deserve you. And you deserve to be free to love who you are. We're not giving up. Their resolve was tested days later when Margaret showed up at Emma's apartment. Lily opened the door, her heart pounding as her mother stood there, her coat dusted with snow, her expression unreadable. Can we talk? Margaret asked, her voice softer than Lily expected. Against her better judgment, Lily let her in. Emma stayed in the bedroom, giving them space, but her presence lingered, a silent support. Margaret sat on the couch, her hands clasped tightly. I've been praying for you, she said. Every day. I want you to come home, Lily. We can work through this. Lily's throat tightened. Work through what? Being who I am? Loving Emma. Margaret's eyes flickered with pain. You're my daughter. I can't lose you to this. You're not losing me, Lily said, her voice breaking. You're pushing me away. You're hurting us, Mom. The scholarship, Emma's apartmenterie behind it all. Margaret didn't deny it. I'm trying to save you, she said. You're on a path that leads nowhere good. I've seen what happens to people like her. Like Emma. Lily's voice rose. She's kind, she's brilliant. She's everything I want to be with. Why can't you see that? Margaret stood, her face hardening. Because it's not right. And I won't stop until you see that. After she left, Lily collapsed into Emma's arms, sobbing. She's never going to stop, she said. She's going to keep tearing us apart. Emma held her tightly, her voice steady. Then we fight harder. We find a way. They started fighting smarter. Emma connected with a local LGBTQ+ support group, a small but fierce network of people who'd faced similar battles. They offered legal advice, emotional support, and a sense of community that Lily hadn't realized she needed. At a meeting in a community center basement, she listened to stories of others who'd lost family, jobs, homes, but kept going. It gave her strength but also a stark realization. This fight might never end. They met a lawyer, Sarah, who took their case pro bono. She helped Emma challenge the eviction, uncovering that the landlord's claims were baseless, likely pressured by Margaret's connections. The victory was small but significant. Emma kept her apartment. But the scholarship was another story. Sarah warned that universities often hid behind vague policies, and proving Margaret's influence would be nearly impossible. Lily felt torn. Part of her wanted to confront her mother again, to beg for mercy, but another part, a stronger part, was done pleading. She and Emma started planning for Chicago again, this time with more urgency. They saved every penny, took on extra work, and dreamed of a city where they could blend into the crowd, where their love wouldn't be a scandal. But Margaret wasn't done. One Sunday, Lily and Emma attended a different church, one known for its inclusivity, hoping for a moment of peace. As they left, they found flyers on their car, the same ones from campus, now with their names in bold. Pray for Lily and Emma, lost to sin. Lily's hand shook as she crumpled the paper, her eyes scanning the parking lot. She didn't see her mother, but she felt her presence, a specter haunting every step. That night, Emma suggested something radical. Let's go public, she said, her eyes bright with defiance. We tell our story. On social media, to the local paper, wherever. We take control of the narrative. Lily hesitated. The idea terrified her, exposing their pain to the world, inviting more judgment. But she was tired of hiding, tired of letting her mother dictate their lives. Okay, she said finally. Let's do it. They posted a video online, a raw, heartfelt account of their love and the persecution they faced. Lily spoke first, her voice steady despite her nerves, recounting how her mother's love had turned to control, how their town had turned against them. Emma followed, her words fierce. calling out the hypocrisy of those who preached love but practiced hate. They tagged the video with hashtags, shared it on every platform and waited. The response was overwhelming. Support poured in from strangers across the country, people who'd faced similar struggles, who sent messages of love and encouragement. But there was backlash too: hateful comments, threats, and a flood of emails to Lily's university demanding her expulsion. The local paper picked up the story, framing it as a family dispute, which only fueled the fire. Margaret called that night, her voice shaking with rage. "How could you do this to me?" she demanded. "You've humiliated our family, dragged our name through the mud." Lily's heart ached, but her resolve held. "You did this, Mom. You made this public when you told everyone." "I'm just telling my truth." "You're destroying everything," Margaret said, her voice breaking. "You're no daughter of mine." The words cut deeper than anything yet, but Lily didn't cry. She hung up, turned to Emma and said, "We're leaving. As soon as we can. I'm done." The decision to leave was both a relief and a wound. Lily and Emma spent weeks planning, scraping together enough money for a one-way bus ticket to Chicago. They'd found a sublet online, a tiny studio apartment that promised a fresh start. But leaving meant abandoning the life Lily had known, her childhood home, her dreams of finishing her degree in Ohio, the faint hope of reconciling with her mother. Each night as she packed her belongings, she fought the urge to call Margaret, to beg for one last chance. Emma was her rock, her optimism infectious even in the darkest moments. "We'll build something new," she'd say, her green eyes bright with possibility. "A life that's ours." They spent evenings dreaming of Chicago's vibrant streets, its queer-friendly neighborhoods, its promise of anonymity. But the weight of what they were leaving behind lingered. Margaret's campaign didn't stop. The local paper ran a follow-up story, this time quoting concerned citizens, who called Lily and Emma's relationship a disgrace. Lily's former boss at the library wrote a public letter, claiming she'd been disruptive to the workplace, a lie that stung more than it should have. Emma's band lost another gig, and their social media accounts were flooded with hate. But there were glimmers of hope: donations from supporters, messages from others in the LGBTQ+ community, even a small grant from a national organization that helped queer youth in crisis. One afternoon, as Lily sorted through her childhood belongings, she found a photo of her and Margaret at a county fair, Lily's gap-toothed smile beaming as her mother held her hand. The memory was a knife twisting in her chest. She wanted to hate her mother, but she couldn't. Not fully. She tucked the photo into her bag, unsure why she kept it. The night before they left, Emma threw a small goodbye party at her apartment, inviting the few friends who'd stood by them. Sarah, their lawyer, brought wine and stories of her own coming-out journey. A couple from the support group shared their plans to marry in the spring. The room was filled with laughter, music, and the kind of warmth Lily hadn't felt in months. For a moment she could breathe. But as the party wound down, Lily stepped outside for air, her breath visible in the cold night. She heard footsteps and turned to see Margaret standing at the edge of the parking lot, her face pale under the streetlight. "You're really leaving?" Margaret asked, her voice small. Lily's heart pounded. "I have to. You've made it impossible to stay." Margaret stepped closer, her eyes glistening. "I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I could save you." "Save me from what?" Lily's voice cracked. "From being happy. From being myself." Margaret looked away, her hands trembling. "You're my daughter. I can't accept this." "Then you're losing me," Lily said, tears streaming down her face. "Not because I'm gay, but because you won't let me be." Margaret didn't respond. She turned and walked away, her figure disappearing into the dark. Lily stood there, shaking, until Emma found her and pulled her into a hug. "You're enough," Emma whispered. "You've always been enough." The bus to Chicago was cramped and smelled faintly of diesel, but to Lily it felt like freedom. She and Emma sat close, their hands intertwined, watching the Ohio countryside fade into the distance. The city loomed ahead, a promise and a challenge. They had little money, no jobs lined up, and only each other, but that felt like enough. Their first days in Chicago were a whirlwind. The studio apartment was smaller than they'd expected, with peeling paint and a leaky faucet, but it was theirs. They spent hours exploring the city, finding queer bookstores, cozy cafes, and parks where they could hold hands without fear. Emma landed a job at a music store, her charm winning over the owner. Lily enrolled in a community college, determined to finish her degree, even if it took years. But the past wasn't so easily left behind. Lily's phone buzzed with occasional texts from Margaret, short, stilted messages about the weather or the church, never mentioning Emma or their fight. Each one was a reminder of the rift, a wound that hadn't healed. Lily didn't respond, but she couldn't bring herself to block her mother's number. One evening as they walked along Lake Michigan, the city lights glittering on the water, Emma stopped and turned to Lily. "I want to marry you someday," she said, her voice soft but certain. "Not now, not when we're barely scraping by. But someday. Will you say yes?" Lily's heart swelled, tears pricking her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, pulling Emma into a kiss. For the first time in months she felt whole, like the pieces of her life might fit together again. Months passed in Chicago, each day a step toward rebuilding. Lily found a part-time job at a bookstore, surrounded by the stories she loved, while Emma's music career began to take root, her band booking gigs in small venues. They built a community, friends who celebrated their love, mentors who guided them, a chosen family that filled the void left by Margaret's rejection. But the scars remained, a quiet ache that surfaced in moments of stillness. One spring morning Lily received a letter, handwritten in her mother's precise script. Her hands trembled as she opened it, Emma sitting beside her for support. The letter was short, but its words carried weight. "Dear Lily, I've spent months praying, thinking, talking to others. I was wrong. Not about my faith but about how I treated you. I thought I was protecting you, but I see now I was hurting you. I don't understand everything about your life, but I want to try. I miss you. If you're willing, I'd like to talk. Love, Mom." Lily stared at the words, her heart caught between hope and fear. "What if it's a trick?" she asked Emma, her voice small. Emma squeezed her hand. "What if it's not? You don't have to decide now. But you deserve to know." Lily didn't respond right away. She carried the letter with her for days, rereading it, weighing her options. Part of her wanted to run back to her mother, to reclaim the love they'd lost. But another part, the part that had fought so hard to survive new trust, had to be earned. She called Margaret a week later, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I got your letter," she said. "I'm glad you wrote. But things can't go back to how they were." "I know," Margaret said, her voice thick with emotion. "I don't expect that. I want to see you. To listen." They agreed to meet in Chicago on neutral ground, at a cafe near Lily and Emma's apartment. When the day came, Lily was a bundle of nerves, but Emma's presence steadied her. Margaret arrived, looking smaller than Lily remembered, her eyes tired but earnest. For the first time, she didn't try to control the conversation. She listened as Lily spoke about her life, her love for Emma, the pain of the past year. Emma added her own perspective, her voice calm but firm, laying bare the damage Margaret's actions had caused. "I didn't realize," Margaret said, tears in her eyes. "I thought I was doing what was right. I was so afraid of losing you that I pushed you away." Lily nodded, her own eyes wet. "I needed you to love me for who I am, not who you wanted me to be." Margaret reached for her hand, and this time Lily didn't pull away. "I'm trying," Margaret said. "I don't know if I'll ever fully understand, but I want to be part of your life. If you'll let me." It wasn't a perfect resolution. There were no grand gestures, no promises of instant acceptance. But it was a start, a fragile bridge between a mother and daughter who'd lost their way. Emma squeezed Lily's other hand under the table, a silent reminder that they'd built something stronger than the pain. Years later, Lily and Emma stood in a Chicago park, surrounded by friends and chosen family, exchanging vows under a canopy of autumn leaves. Lily wore a simple white dress, her chestnut hair loose, her smile radiant. Emma, in a tailored suit, her blonde hair still tousled, looked at Lily like she was the only person in the world. Margaret was there in the back row, her presence quiet but meaningful. She didn't clap as loudly as the others, but she was there, and that was enough. Their life wasn't perfect. They faced new challenges, bills, career setbacks, the occasional sting of prejudice. But they faced them together, their love a beacon through every storm. Lily's degree hung on their apartment wall, earned through years of hard work. Emma's music filled their home, a soundtrack to their shared dreams. The memory of Margaret's betrayal never fully faded, but it became a chapter, not the whole story. Lily learned to forgive, not for her mother's sake, but for her own. She and Emma built a life defined not by the pain they'd endured, but by the love they'd fought for, a love that was fierce, unapologetic, and theirs. As they danced at their wedding, Lily whispered to Emma, "We made it." Emma smiled, her eyes shining. "We always will." And in that moment, under the stars, with the city humming around them, Lily knew they'd won, not just against her mother's destruction, but for the right to love, to live, to be. Their story wasn't just about surviving. It was about thriving, about building a life where love was the loudest voice of all. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.